Do you feel that in a time when we are more connected than ever, we are drifting away from real human connection, especially to ourselves? I do. Hi, I'm Leticia Latino, and I want to invite you to join me and my very inspiring guests in exploring ways to reconnect to your essence, to your definite purpose, to what makes you tick. Are you ready? Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Back to Basics, Reconnecting to the Essence of You. My guest today is Dr. Gina Williams. She has been practicing physical therapy for over 20 years. Over those years, she's worked alongside the top surgeons in New York and Connecticut. After seeing the need for one-on-one physical therapy care, she decided to establish her concierge physical therapy practice, Mobility Health Physical Therapy, back in 2017. She has her own podcast called Health, Wealth, and Relationships, Thriving in the Balancing Act. And she's also a sought-after keynote speaker on all things health, wellness, and fitness. Hello, Dr. Gina, and welcome to Back to Basics.
Hello. Thank you so much, Leticia, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited about having you here. And I want to know, let's jump right into it. I want to know if when you were younger, did you ever envision yourself doing this? Were you the one in your video, like helping your friends along to see, how can they do better physically and all that stuff?
Well, sort of. I mean, from 3 years old, I knew I wanted to be something with medical, the human body. During my free time, I would look up Encyclopedia Britannica, if anyone remembers that, and look at the anatomy of the human body and go through all the muscles and everything. So I really had a love for that early on. And I just assumed it would be medicine. And so I did do medical. I went to medical school. I was a pre-med student. And halfway through my journey, I heard about physical therapy, and I didn't have an interest in being a physical therapist, but I had a curiosity about what was it, and if I had patients as a medical doctor, if this was something I could refer to my patients. And I went to a weekend seminar where they taught you about what is about. And I left that weekend very curious, and I didn't like needles and taking blood as a medical doctor, but I figured that's something I just have to do. But then I realized I don't have to do what I don't like to do. And so for that gap year of studying for my MCAT, I volunteered at different hospitals and medical facilities in the physical therapy department. And for a whole year, asked myself, how was my day today? Is this something I would want to do? Can I see myself doing this for years and years? And at the end of that year, it was yes. And I went to grad school for physical therapy.
Oh, wow. Wow. I love that you share, and we have younger audience sometimes, and the fact that you were asking that question, like, can I do this year to year? And I think that we don't ask that even after you made the choice and you have a career. It's like, can I see myself to keep doing this forever? And I think a lot of people get afraid of changing their mind or changing career pathways.
Yeah, it's okay to change, but you have to check in with yourself. You are with yourself your whole life, your every day, and it's important to make sure. I found out pretty early, and I learned from different people that finding what makes you happy is the key to lifelong happiness. And if you love and are happy about what you do for work, it's really not like working. I mean, it's been 20 years, but it feels maybe like 5, but all my classmates have college students or graduates. So it's been 20 years, but it doesn't feel like work in that way.
I love that. And so back in 2017, you decided to go on your own pretty much and founded Mobility Health. What did you see, and what do you have to overcome any fears about, let me just launch my own uh, practice and all the, as a potential business owner, fears?
Well, I founded the practice because of necessity. I was working with a very busy physical therapy practice in Manhattan that got bought over by another practice that was more like a factory. They were asking about how many people we saw a day versus who's getting better, who wants to learn together. And that changed from what originally the company had as about caring about people. And so I resigned from work, traveled to Europe and met with family members, made new friends. And after that time frame, came back, and I really decided I wanted to work by myself. And one-on-one was the thing, because one time in that practice, when I was working with, one of my patients got ill, and I was busy working with five other patients at the same time as this one woman. And I turned to her and she passed out. She was unresponsive. I was able to revive her. I called the ambulance and they took her in and she was fine. But then after she left, I had to call her daughter and tell her daughter that under my care, her mom was ill. I mean, she's okay, but what if something had happened and I hadn't been paying attention? And I realized that, I should just be doing one-on-one. And that's what matters. So I can talk to the person, see what's going on, and I could give them my full and undivided attention always.
Mm, that's I think you definitely shown some light there into something that uh, I hear a lot of people talking about. It's well, like the elephant in the room. Like I'm originally from Venezuela, and my doctor is practicing here, and he's out of network because he told me they want me to see a patient every X minutes, and I just cannot practice medicine like that. Like he sits and he talks for 40 minutes with me. And I swear to God, by the time I'm done, when I'm explaining to him what I'm feeling, he knows without even touching me or checking me. He knows what it is happened over and over again. And I think what you describe is really a cause of what's happening in this country, that it's we're becoming. I mean, you use a word now, I forget what it was, but like just turning around the
Yeah, it's a
patients.
factory. Yes, the
It's a
factory. Yes.
factory, exactly. That's and so it's, I think, kudos to you for recognizing that and giving people an option, because I think more and more I choose to go out of network, out of insurance, and just pay out of my pocket, because I say, but that's one visit, but I have peace of mind, and he gets it right on the first go. I'm not like spinning my, like it has happened in the past with those doctors that go to the app and check your symptoms from the app and then tell you
What's going
something
on?
that sometimes is not, I've been misdiagnosed twice in my life here
Wow.
on things that, were not what I had. So that's great. So it seems like you're finding joy out of your practice. You find a niche that I think is very well needed. So, and then in the meantime, you also speak and give inspirations back. So, what are the things, let's say, besides what you have shared now, that you see that you're trying to fix, or you're trying to provide an alternative to a system that is certainly not perfect?
Well, the alternative is better care. The history of talking to someone and finding out what's going on with their health comes from actually sitting down and talking to them. And yes, I'm a physical therapist, and patients often the first day when we're talking for 45 minutes, they're often thrown aback. You're not going to stretch me, bend me. No, finding out about you, your health background, your physical background. What are your goals? Do you want to go back to running? Are you hiking? Do you want to play with your grandkids? What is the thing that makes you want to heal and get that knee pain better? Not just let's fix the knee and move on, because there could be other things that are affecting your health and that knee that once you're done with the therapy, it could creep back in. So it's kind of treating the person as a whole and making sure that there are things that they can get help with, that they don't need to come back or re-injure themselves. It's also a prevention.
Mm. I love that you touch upon that, because I had never gone through physical therapy until I herniated a disc, and that
Mm,
was very painful. But then I realized how people go also as prevention, and I said, and then they gave me tools that now, when I feel the pain flaring, like I can do this exercises, and now I don't need to be going that often anymore,
that's
because I just,
perfect.
yeah, because they taught me how to identify like the symptoms or the signs that this pain is about to get a lot worse unless you kind of take care of this. So I definitely think that like I almost feel that you guys in that segment need to rebrand, because you think physical therapy after a bad injury.
Mhm.
But I think there's also something there that can help prevent the injury or keep it controlled without something major happening.
That's correct. And in education, talking to the patient and teaching them about their body and certain cues that we look for so that they can own it on their own. Like sometimes, like you said, a patient calls us back and says, "Oh, my knee's hurting against it." "Oh, well, did you review the exercises we gave you and how to progress it? Try that for a week or two and then call us back." And then call us back like, "Hey, I started back with the exercises you gave me or recommended on our last day and I feel better. I don't need you." And that's so empowering. It's like they have learned how to use the tools we gave them to make sure that they're continually well and getting stronger.
Hmm. And I know that, I mean, you're a big deal because when I did my research, you've even been in Good Morning America talking about this stuff.
Yes, I was featured on ABC Good Morning America for a tech neck piece, and how to prevent, hurting ourselves while we're sitting at our desk. This is a world where people are on Zoom, we're sitting at our desk a lot, regardless of whether it's in the office or remote. And there's certain things we can do to help break up our day and make sure we're not hurting our neck or our back.
No, that's me right there. I'm gonna watch that segment because I'm like, oh my God, the neck is certainly I'm worried about there's this my neighbor walks his dog and I swear he's always on the
Mm.
phone. Like the
Oh gosh.
posture, like I can tell his posture, it's already changing. Like he's always like slouch into the phone. And I say, these down the road, we definitely probably as human species, we're gonna have a different shape based on how we're using our neck to access our devices.
That's so true. And knowing that information, we can prevent that from happening by using certain muscles in our back and the shoulder area to keep those strong so the body doesn't easily bend forward. We will be, not in our 90s and standing up erect.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, do you have any tip like from all your years? Is there any like quick tip that you say, "Oh, I did it. This is something that I've always tell people they can do and improves their life or their posture or something that they say, thank you for that tip." Do you have like a winner tip?
It's hard to say just one, but one advice is, schedule your calendar to make sure that you are moving every few hours during your day. Set it your watch. It's so easy now to just use the app to make sure that we're moving. Because my slogan is, if you don't move it, you lose it. As we get older, the less we move, the less our muscles respond, the tighter our joints, and that can cause an injury over time. And that's one. And also making sure that we're stretching our pecs in front, because if we're hunched over, these muscles get tight. You want to stretch those and strengthen the back. Just doing some simple TheraBand, rubber band rows will help keep our posture in line.
That's a good one. And then, of course, I mean, I share with everybody, but you are a prolific podcaster too, with health, wealth, and relationships thriving in the balancing act. So tell my audience a little bit about your podcast and what's your goal with it and what you hope that your audience can take away when they listen to an episode.
Yes, my podcast is a passion project of mine. I talk to generally mainly women business owners, but many business owners come on there, and we talk about finding balance in life. Yes, we're busy on our career or on a track to be head of our departments, but we also have family, we have ourselves, and it gives actionable tips on how we can make sure we're getting the self-care we need, balancing that with spending time with family, and making sure we get our work done and not being too stressed out. And it really gives us grace to know that not everybody has all of those things balanced at one time, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. That's really good reminder, an incredible reminder. And any particular guest, like, do you have like anybody there that you say, "Oh, I got this person," or I don't know if it happens like this for you, but I sometimes have guests, like. I have to say, I had never heard of you, but now I'm like, Dr. Gina is like on my favorite guest, and like go to her podcast for wellness advice. I mean, there's so much wealth of information out there, and I'm so grateful for podcasts and platforms like that that give us access to it.
Well, I don't have a guest that stands out because everyone has their each individual story about their why and how they're balancing things. And so the general trend is finding balance and making sure that you yourself are happy first. And each one has a way that they do it that my listeners can listen to and figure out a way that works best for them.
Mm. And it's funny you say that because not too long ago, and I've heard both sides of the argument where there's either people that love the whole life work balance, and some people like there's no balance. You just like try to get to a point where you do it all in a way where you remain happy. So obviously you're more on the track of like we can achieve a certain balance.
Yes, and I have heard that other aspect of, not compartmentalizing and balancing things. And it depends on the individual. For me, it's hard to do recreation if I'm in my work zone. But for some people, they can find, they can go to meet with a work friend for lunch, and that can be more of a social thing, but it's part of work, and they can mesh the two. And so I don't think there's one or the other. It's whichever one works for you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm a mesher for sure. If I didn't mesh, I would not do nothing. People say, how do you get to do so many things? And probably it's because of meshing. If
Ah,
not, it would be very, very difficult. But I agree with you. I see other people that don't mesh and they're able to like, no, this is my window for doing this. This is my window for that. And it works very well for them. And they get to be focused because the problem sometimes with meshing is
mm,
changing hats so quick that
mm,
if you it's like juggling, and not everybody can be a juggler. If
mm.
you master juggling and then you can do it, it's good, it works. But if you don't, or you haven't mastered it, then it can be disastrous.
Well, actually, you mentioned juggling, and now I'm a business owner and a physical therapist for 2 decades. I'm a mom for the past 6 years. And so having that experience as a physical therapist and a business owner has really prepared me for that dynamic of being a mom of three toddlers. Because one, I definitely can't compartmentalize things in the way that I used to when I was single and married without three children. And so I
Mm-hmm.
definitely started to mesh things and make it work, or whatever it is today. If I'm 5 a.m. doing my yoga and my toddler's trying to get on my back while I'm doing downward dog, that's what it is, and be happy and,
Yeah.
and amazed and present in that moment.
Well said. I definitely agree with you that kids are the ones that prompt you to mesh, if anything.
Yes.
It's certainly easier. I had a friend, and she's been on the podcast, and I tell her this story to her face. But I remember saying she had this list of how many books she read a month. Uh, and I remember the first time I heard that, I'm like, she doesn't have kids yet. And so, it's the only way I can read a book a week or something like that, right? And then she had the kids. And then she's like, you were right. I can barely get to read anything anymore. And I say, yeah, well, but it's stages in life. So I also, to
Yes.
your point, I've learned to give grace to the stage in life I'm in. And so
Yes.
like this stage is extremely chaotic. The kids are still young. I have a 10-year-old and a 15.
Mhm.
And so it's really like their schedule is my schedule, blah, blah, blah. But these two is going to pass, unfortunately. Then you're going to miss it.
Yes.
But then you see all the empty nesters saying how much time they have on their hands again. And
Yes.
it's almost,
And
and it's nice.
nostalgic, they missed it. But
Yeah.
I also think about trying to make what works for the moment. Like your friend, I did like to read a lot of books and I love to sit and turn the pages. But then I said, I still want to read. There's audiobook. While I'm doing some
Hmm.
housework, folding clothes, I've listened to more books this past few years than I did the first few years when my kids were smaller. Because I thought about how can I still find what I love and make this work. So I'm still learning and reading interesting books.
Yeah, when there's a way, when there's a will, there's a way. And I'm with you. I also leverage, like when I'm cleaning the house or folding, I always have something on my ears that I listen to. It's such a precious time
Yes.
that we have. So, Dr. Gina, I always like to ask, I mean, of all the initiatives, things that maybe we haven't talked about, what is exciting you these days? Is there an initiative that you want to highlight? Anything that you want to bring front and center for the listeners?
Yes, of course. There's so many, but top of mind is the health and wellness platform. If we really take charge of our health, we don't have to wait till we're sick. Now studies are showing that movement and your environment can actually prevent a lot of cancers, a lot of muscle issues, a lot of imbalance. And if we are moving an hour and a half, at least a week in purposeful exercise, moderate intensity, we can prevent a lot of these things that happen to us, especially along with diet as well. But we can be into our 80s and 90s still moving, not needing assistive aids, and living a longer quality of life without having to worry about having someone to help us with some of those physical activities.
That's great. And of course, we'll have the webpage, which is mobilityhealthpt.com. It's on for those of you watching the video. And so in those days, I always like to say, you mentioned before finding your why. I call it what makes you tick. How do you go back to basics? It sounds in what you shared that trip you took to Europe, it was a back to basics trip in my dictionary.
Yes, it was a back to basics. It was reconnecting. I had loved to travel, but I didn't travel as much as I thought I did, and I just, went to 13 countries and all the family. I said, hey, I'm coming to visit. I'm showing up. And I, met with friends and met with some strangers who are now friends at the same stage of discovery and finding out what's our purpose. And 5 of those ladies now are married with children, and we were all single at that time that we met. But, finding, what's the best thing? What's the next path for us to do? Really asking ourselves, what do we want? And I think, traveling solo was very helpful in, blocking out the noise and listening to my inner self.
Mm. I'm glad that you reminded. One of the main things I like is traveling solo, and not for work. I've done it like you've done it, like for holidays, and I find that so many people are so afraid of the thought of traveling alone. I know I have friends that say, what would I do at a restaurant? I am not going to go to a restaurant alone. I'm like, why not? I find it so empowering to do your trip the way you want to do it without compromising in the slightest things. Because even when you are with the people you love the most, your husband, your kids, you're still compromising. You're doing something that maybe is not the way you would tackle it. And I find it personally very empowering when I do it my way and I don't even have to negotiate or justify why we're going to do it that way. We're just going to do it that way.
Yeah, it is very liberating. And for a lot of my clients and friends, I said, if you can't go on vacation somewhere far, just go to dinner, go to lunch by yourself and just enjoy. And sometimes when you're by yourself, people actually come up to you and start a conversation and you learn or, hear something new that you never knew before. And it's pretty interesting.
Well, I definitely agree with you on all you've said, but on that part even more. So I'll encourage, let's leave that as a call to action to the audience. And I say now, like this dining movie theater, make it very easy, because in the past, if you went to the movies alone, you're there, you're alone, you're sappy. Now I get there, I ask for a glass of wine, I get an appetite, and it's just so enjoyable.
Yes.
So it almost justified, and you don't need to be looking at the phone. You can really look at the sky or look at the stars or look at your surroundings and just reconnect to the other human beings that are around you that are not looking at the phone.
We can find some of them.
Exactly. So, well, I thank you so much for your time and for your inspiration, and also for helping people stay healthy and for promoting well-being. It's truly an honor.
You're welcome, Leticia. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And to all you out there, go check out Dr. Gina's webpage and get moving. And until a new episode of Back to Basics. Bye-bye. You've been listening to Back to Basics. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. If you haven't yet, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcast or any of your favorite streaming platforms. This is the best gift you can give us. Join me next week for another Back to Basics conversation. And if you want to find out about other exciting things I'm working on, visit leticialatino.com. Thank you, and until the next time.